We'll go ahead and get started. Good day, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, based on wherever you might be in the world. Welcome to the LISA 2020 Network session. We're glad to have you. In this session, we're going to be sharing some of our innovations for building statistics and data science capacity. And so just briefly, who is leading your session today? I'm Tanya Pruitt. I'm the LISA 2020 Network Coordinator. I'm joined by Professors Olubusoye and Adebanji, who lead two of the stat labs within our network. So I'll start the presentation this morning by providing a brief introduction of our network and then sharing some broad sustainability lessons that we've learned through a recent sustainability assessment and a symposium that we just had. My colleagues will then provide specific examples from their local experiences at the University of Ibadan in Nigeria and Kwame Nkrumah, Dr. Adebanji, you're going to have to correct me later, University of Science and Technology in Ghana. But before we get started, we want to know a little bit about who you guys are, especially since we have a small room. We've got a poll, and we'll wait just a second since I see a couple more folks filtering in. But then we'd like to know if you're in higher education. Are you students, faculty, staff? Are you in the government sector or private sector or foundations? Or if we've missed something, you can post it in the chat and we can see who's joining us this morning. And for those folks still joining in, we're just doing a quick poll to see who all is in our audience. So if you haven't had a chance yet, I see we've got about half of the folks have responded. So if you haven't selected what sector you're from, please take a moment to click the right button or post in chat if we've missed something. Well, it's looking like we've got a broad audience. So far, 4 folks have responded, and we've got 1 higher education student, 1 higher education faculty member, 1 higher education staff member, and 1 private sector individual. So for the other 2 folks that didn't have a chance to respond, if you want to let us know in chat, that would be great. And then I think we'll go ahead and move on. So I think everybody here today can agree that statistics and data science are becoming ever more prevalent in our society. Though folks often think about statistical analysis as something that happens towards the end of a process. It's especially impactful, though, if it's included throughout all stages of a project or decision-making process. This ensures that the right data is collected from the beginning and that it's high quality, that it's analyzed and interpreted correctly, and that it's communicated in appropriate ways that help to solve problems and make decisions that can help benefit society. You can go ahead. So to ensure that statistics and data science is incorporated throughout the cycle that was shown on the previous slide, skilled statisticians and data scientists are essential. But being skilled in math and statistics isn't enough. Education, training, mentoring, and support can help individuals develop the skills that are necessary in order to enable and accelerate research, help governments make better decisions, and support NGOs, businesses, and industry by communicating and collaborating effectively with researchers, business folks, and policymakers. Once again, thank you to the new folks who are joining throughout our presentation. So once again, we want to hear from you. This time, if you'll use the chat function to tell us, how have you engaged with statistics and data science for development? And if you haven't, do you have ideas of how you might engage with them in the future? And I noticed some of our participants are names I recognize who are part of the LISA 2020 network. So thank you for joining. If you want to put in chat ways you've worked with folks outside of statistics, feel free to post that in. Right? Heidi says she's used it for evaluation. Is that for, oh, and implementation research, great. Heidi, was that for improving processes at your institution or making a program stronger? There we go, impact assessment, outcomes and learning. That is very common in higher education. How about our private sector person? Have you guys worked with statistics or data science before? Oh, longitudinal data analysis. That's a tough one. I'm glad to hear someone's implementing that. Okay, someone's been involved as a statistician on various projects from public health to climate change adaptation. I'm excited to hear we've got quite a few statisticians in the audience today. Maybe we can convince you that the network is something you might want to be a part of. Okay. Well, I will keep an eye on the chat and then refer back to things as we continue. So we can move on. So in our program, statistical collaboration labs, which we call stat labs for short, have a three-pronged mission to train statisticians and data scientists to become effective interdisciplinary collaborators who can move between theory and practice, to create a space for collaboration and infrastructure for their institution to transform academic evidence into action, and of course, to improve statistical and data science skills and literacy very broadly by teaching short courses and workshops. And so I have another question for you, especially some of you folks who are statisticians. Does the higher education institution that you are most familiar with have a stat lab? And if so, have you worked with it? If not, for either of those, do you think there might be a compelling reason and a path forward to develop a stat lab? Or if you know there's one that exists, but you haven't engaged with it, why not? Is there ideas you have for working with folks? So just respond in the chat function. And also feel free to put questions in the chat as we go through our presentations. We're happy to answer those. Yes, so stat labs are usually based within departments because, you know, departments don't necessarily meet those particular goals, and training folks to communicate and collaborate. That is something we've definitely seen, Heidi, that stat labs are often very subject specific, biostat, social sciences, often within different departments. So, you know, if there's a social sciences department, they may have a few graduate students and faculty members that lead their own programs to help answer questions and work with folks. I'll give you just a little more time. I know typing sometimes takes a bit. At Wits University in South Africa, there's a data science lab. Well, that's great. I hadn't heard of that one, but I'll definitely have to look into it. There's been a lot more about institutional research and producing dashboards. That's definitely the case for online tools that anybody can look at to see students enrolled and graduation rates, and of course with the pandemic, those rates and things as well. And welcome to one of our HEGES-LISA members. It's great to have you here. I think we'll go ahead and move on, but keep putting questions in the chat. Yep. So statistical collaboration laboratories can be powerful engines for development with many levels of impact. Initially, the stat labs impact the students and the staff that are working directly in the lab by developing their statistical skills and collaboration talents. Then with a strong support network, that one statistician trained to communicate and collaborate with non-statisticians can enable and accelerate 10 or more research projects per year. This empowers the researchers, policymakers, and development actors to transform evidence into action toward solving real-world problems. And that's where the impact becomes exponential. Solving real-world problems, implementing policy changes, and turning evidence into action can impact hundreds or thousands of people, improving human welfare worldwide. So recognizing this potential, the vision of LISA 2020 is to build statistical analysis and data science capacity to transform evidence into action by creating a network of stat labs in developing countries. The initial goal was to have 20 labs by the year 2020, hence the name. But thanks to USAID support, that goal was exceeded. The LISA 2020 network currently has 35 full member labs from 10 different countries listed on the slides here. And it's centrally managed and based out of the University of Colorado Boulder. Unfortunately, our global director, Dr. Eric Vance, who came up with the wonderful idea for the network, wasn't able to be a part of our presentation today, but we miss him. So with the network now grown to 35 labs, we shifted our focus from growing the number of labs to ensuring the sustainability of individual labs as well as the network as a whole. So from our experience, we recognized that there were some essential components for a strong and sustainable stat lab. So you need mission and goals and objectives, supportive administration and personnel. It needs to offer services, have university support and a budget, accurately track its impacts and outcomes, and be able to effectively communicate what services they have and also the impacts of those services. We equated these components to the human body in a forthcoming book chapter that is in preparation for print that you can see in the corner there. But beyond this background that we had, we performed a sustainability assessment to determine what challenges individual stat labs were facing. Beyond the pandemic, we synthesized the findings into 5 broad challenges that are shown here. In addition to the challenges, the assessment revealed several potential solutions to those challenges. For example, to incentivize collaborators, some stat labs provided certificates or token funding support. Others demonstrated the impact of collaboration experiences to inspire them. And then still others tied participation to meeting educational degree requirements so that it was fulfilling for those students to participate. Building from that assessment, we issued a call for proposals for stat labs to complete mini sustainability experiments to test the potential solutions for those identified challenges. The results of these experiments were shared at the LISA 2020 Sustainability Symposium, hosted by Dr. Adebanji at KNUST at the beginning of this month. So that just happened a couple weeks ago. The symposium was an excellent time for the stat labs to discuss best practices and build partnerships to further strengthen the network. So I'll highlight just a few discussed strategies, including engaging alumni to demonstrate the impact of the stat lab, but also to provide role models and mentorship, and even to encourage some philanthropy. Another strategy was to perform a survey to determine what services their institution actually needed and adjust the stat lab services accordingly. It was more beneficial to spend limited time and resources on what the users or clients actually wanted. Another frequently tested strategy was to better engage with social media for advertisement and communication so that folks knew that the stat lab existed and what they were doing. Though we don't have time in this session to review all of the strategies discussed during our full week-long symposium, all of the abstracts, posters, and presentations will be available on the symposium website, which is listed here, and I'll put it in the chat. If you go to lisa2020.org, though, you'll be able to easily navigate to the symposium page. So, want you to reflect one more time, and we won't spend too long this time, on which of these strategies maybe resonate with you for maybe not a stat program you have, but some programs that you're trying to grow. Do you have ideas that we haven't mentioned? I know we went through some pretty quickly. So any thoughts? And while you guys are doing that, I will put the link into chat for you. And while we wait for some comments, I think I'll go ahead and turn it over to Professor Olubusoye so he can talk about some of the great things that his lab worked on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tonya. And once again, I want to welcome colleagues attending this session. I will be talking about the transforming evidence to action of the Laboratory for Interdisciplinary Statistical Analysis, which is based at the University of Colorado Boulder, in collaboration with the Statistics and Data Science Collaboration Laboratories of the LISA 2020 network. The Transforming Evidence to Action program entails that stat labs are engines of transformation, and they accelerate and enable local solutions for local development challenges. The U.S. Agency for International. So this talk plans to share with the audience some of the lessons that we have learned through the HEGES-LISA collaboration with a frontline democratic institution in Nigeria. Next slide. HEGES-LISA is simply the acronym for the University of Ibadan Laboratory for Interdisciplinary Statistical Analysis. It was established in March 2015 in the Department of Statistics, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. Officially, HEGES-LISA became a network member of the Global LISA body on 4 June 2015. The STAT Lab provides statistics consulting and training to students, faculty, and staff of the university. Services provided by HEGES-LISA include helping clients to design and plan their studies, obtaining sample size estimates, cleaning and wrangling data, helping clients to select appropriate statistical methods, helping clients to implement their field experimental studies and interpret statistical outputs, helping clients produce data visualizations, conducting one-on-one training on statistical software, and of course, many others. The popular HEGES-LISA programs include 1 hour with a statistician, a mobile statistical clinic, walk-in consultation, statistical collaboration, and skill development in statistics and data science. Next slide. Kindly indicate which of the HEGES-LISA programs appeals to you most. 1 hour with a statistician, mobile statistical clinic, walk-in consultation, statistical collaboration, skill development in statistics and data science. Please complete the poll. Thank you. I can see one people selecting 1 hour with a statistician. Good. 2 more. 1. One for skill development in statistics and data science. Thank you very much. I'll continue to save our time. Yeah. Okay, so next slide. Yes. That was. For HEGES-LISA, the development challenge observed at the national level revolves the slide before this, please. So the LISA 2020, yeah, next. Great. The LISA 2020 transforming evidence to action is a concept that situates STAT labs between development challenges, knowledge creation through the collection of evidence, and feeding the policymakers, development actors, and researchers to enable them to transform the society and improve the quality of life. Start labs in the network are supposed to be the engine of transformation. They are responsible for consciously observing the development challenges within their vicinity and mobilizing resources to gather reliable, useful, timely, and of course, relevant evidence to assist the policy actor. Next slide. So for HEGES-LISA, the development challenge observed at the national level revolves around election participation. The checkered history of elections in Nigeria spans the years of military rule, 1966 to 1979, and of course, the Second Republic, 1983 to 1999. The civilian regimes, the current dispensation that we have started in 1999. So that's the data you have on the slide. The pattern in the turnout rate since the return of the civilian democratic rule in 1999 revealed voters' despondency and apathy toward the democratic process. The presidential elections that generally should be expected to attract the biggest voter turnout dropped from 69% in 2003 to the lowest rate of 35% in 2019. Despite the voting age population increasing from 53 million in 1999 to 97 million in 2019, the number of voters in the presidential elections dropped from 30 million in 1999 to 28 million in 2019. This pattern of voter turnout posed serious concern, not only to the electoral body INEC, but to all stakeholders committed to democracy in Nigeria. If this downward trajectory in electoral participation persists, it will constitute a significant threat to good governance, growth, and development. Next slide. To aid in formulating a national electoral policy to strengthen democracy in Nigeria, the Transforming Evidence to Action project was designed by HEGES-LISA, but executed jointly with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, the electoral umpire in Nigeria, with full support from the headquarters of the LISA 2020 network. A 7-member team from HEGES-LISA collaborated with the Electoral Institute, a sub-organization within INEC, that is the Electoral Institute, from May 2019 to March 2020 to investigate the factors responsible for voter apathy and begin to answer these policy questions. The first question is the database of registered voters complete? That is, does it exclude dead and non-Nigerian registrants and include all citizens who are 18 years or older? The second question is, how accurate is the information in the database of registered voters with respect to items such as age, contact address, etc.? The third question, what are the barriers to CVR, continuous voter registration participation by eligible Nigerians? The fourth is, why do eligible citizens not register for elections? The fifth, what are the socio-economic characteristics of the successful registrants compared to the failed registrants? The sixth one is to what extent did people comply with the INEC guidelines for accreditation and voting during the 2019 presidential elections. The seventh one is what are the socio-economic characteristics of the voters in the 2019 presidential elections compared with the non-voters. The eighth is how reliable is voter age population as the denominator of voter turnout for measuring participation rates, considering that the voting age population is an intercensor projection based on the National Population Census, which was last conducted in 2006. The last question is to investigate the relationship between the voting age population figures and total registered voters, and look at the features that question the quality of the voting age population projections or voters registered over the years. Next slide. So please use the chat menu to share your thoughts on these two questions. One, what have you had any collaborative projects with a government agency? Yes or no? And two, if yes, how will you describe your experience? What lesson did you learn? Given your experience, you will possibly appreciate the experience I'm going to share now. Next slide. Great. So, in our own project, the lessons have been grouped under 4 C's: connecting, collaborating, communicating, and creating. Connecting with the electoral umpire, the first one, took about 3 months, due mainly to a lack of understanding of the protocols and administrative procedures within the agency. Rather than connecting with the secretary to the commission, we were making fruitless efforts to connect with the honorable chairman of the commission. Also, we were requesting a courtesy visit to see the chairman when we should have simply explained our mission and request for collaboration. Eventually, connecting was facilitated through the intervention of USAID Washington, USAID Nigeria, and the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. The lessons from connecting are: one, if you don't initiate the connection with the policy actors, you may never be connected, at least based on the experience in developing countries. Two, you need to combine multiple approaches to achieve the desired connection. And of course, the third one, don't be discouraged or feel disappointed for any reason. The second C is collaborating. The real challenge with policy actor is the consensual power imbalance. The collaborating partners are not equal in any way. The policy actor is often the dominating partner, partly because of the desire to receive their full cooperation to ensure that your project is executed successfully as planned. In our case, INEC was not going to make any financial commitment to the project despite being the ultimate beneficiary. Sometimes opinions are sharply divided, and at times needed information is considered classified. The lessons for START labs are many. The leadership must show competency on the subject matter and be technically sound. The START lab team or leadership must be honest, transparent, accountable, open, trustworthy in sustaining the collaboration. The third one, communicating, is very crucial. It's very crucial. It must be comprehensive, truthful, and timely. In our project, we had three primary stakeholders: the University Research Management Office, the INEC Electoral Institute, and of course the USAID through the LISA 2020. The whole essence of communication is to give updates and inform the stakeholders about the challenges and the steps being taken. Through the audience of the LISA 2020 monitoring and evaluation experts, we developed 8 monitoring and reporting indicators. Generating these monthly reports and compiling the data for computing the indicators can be intimidating. The lesson here is that the START lab leaders must delegate and share responsibilities. They must be organized. They must keep records. They must leverage on cloud storage technologies such as the Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Photo, Dropbox, etc. Next, before next slide. So finally, a team project must create shareable knowledge. And the form of sharing the knowledge could be a challenge. Secondly, sustaining collaboration to improve existing knowledge is another challenge. So we have produced 3 publications: policy briefs, report and monograph, and a journal article published by chance. Next slide. So next slide gives you the cover, this screenshot of the cover page for the report and the policy briefs. Next slide. So this is the published article from the project, which was published by chance, which is available for you to download and review. So to ensure sustainability, we are working together. We are still working with our policy actor, the Electoral Institute, to build the statistical capacity of their staff. START labs involved in transforming evidence to action must think outside the box and far beyond the lifespan of their projects. There must be a sustainability plan to enable an enduring and rewarding collaboration. Now, I have to invite the next speaker, Professor Adebanji.
Yeah. Hello, good afternoon from Ghana, everyone. I'm speaking from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and welcome to all of you. Thank you for making time to share this session with us. I'll be speaking on our lab's experience and transforming evidence to action. We'll be talking about what we were able to do since becoming one of the members of the LISA 2020 project. Adam, next one, please. Thank you. So what I'll be taking you through is when our lab was established and what we seek to do as a center, And then who are our T collaborators? That's transforming evidence to action. What are some of the successful events or projects that we have undertaken or executed? And what are the lessons we have learned as a lab from this project? Thank you, Adam. Yes, our lab, HEGES-LISA, and then Toya, HEGES is Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, Ghana. Thank you. Our lab was officially commissioned on the 20th of October, 2018, and we share the same objective with the LISA 2020 parent body, which is to promote statistical and data science literacy, primarily among students, because we are in a university, and then also amongst researchers, and of course with other professionals. So being situated in the Department of Statistics and Actuarial Science, our main collaborators would be university-based persons, such as faculty member, our students, some units or department in the university. We also collaborate with some research centers, international agencies, as you said, which has been very supportive of LISA 2020. We also have some government agency, non-government agencies, as well as some other LISA labs. So primarily our services in our lab is mainly focused on collaboration. We also provide training for both for within the lab persons and also for persons outside our lab and outside our university, as you will soon see. We run some short courses. We offer walk-in consultation, and this is free of charge to students and faculty from our institution. We also do some statistics and data science education promotion, which is on the advocacy front. The model we have adopted for our LISA lab is capacity building and advocacy. And these are some of the pictures in some of our sessions where we're training. The top right is for the women training we had, and then the bottom left is when we're having in-house capacity building development project. Adams? Thank you. Our first major project, which is a capacity of female scientists in data science, was funded courtesy of USAID through LISA 2020 parent body. And our development objective was targeted on the DO2 for USAID, which was sustainable and broadly shared economic growth. And because this focuses not only on economic growth per se, but also focuses on closing the gender gap in economic development. And we observed that there's a gender gap in STEM, especially female careers. So that was what we sought to work on for our project, how to build the capacity of females who are in mid-career positions for them to be key active players in economic growth for Ghana. Thank you. Adam? So for this project, the women were recruited from several organizations, but we focused on STEM organizations. We did not work directly with the agencies themselves. The role the agencies actually played for us was in nominating the persons from their institutions, as well as assessing them on the job assessment, which we did afterwards for the participants, which was midway in between the two training sessions we had for them. The first leg of the training was building their capacity for policy development as well as data analysis, how to capture their data, how to manage their data, and how to elicit useful information from their data to inform what they do on their job and to also inform policy at their respective institutions. And the second leg, which took place after about 9 months from the first one, was focusing on their career progression itself. We focused then on the building their leadership skills, communication skills, as well as planning a career chart for themselves. Of the participants, 29 in all, 2 of them from Nigeria. We found out after about 2 years, we started sometime in 2019, April 2019. The project was approved in 2018, late 2018, but we actually started the first training in April 2019 and it closed in 2020. The first leg, after the first leg, we did an on-the-job assessment, and the second leg, and then we did a post-training assessment. At the end of the evaluation, we found out that 9 of the participants had experienced career progressions. We do not allude these career progressions to only the training, but from their feedback, they identified that the experience played a key role in their career progressions. And then we had 1 PhD completed, 1 MPhil completed. We had 12 PhD new enrollments, and 6 of these were fellowships for their PhD studies. And we also had 2 research grants, and then there were 10 publications from the participating females. Sometimes there's some debate about how efficient this training or capacity building development activities are in yielding long-term dividends, especially when you want to narrow the gender gap in STEM. I'd like to have your take on what you think about this. Could you kindly complete the poll for us so that we'll see, what do you think? Do you think that there are long-term dividends for closing the gender gap when you have this kind of training? Oh, so far, okay, good. 100%. We have 2 of 2 saying yes. Okay, thank you so much. That's 4. Well, thank you so much. That is very reassuring. Adam, please, the next slide. Okay, we also engaged the industry. After that program, we also engaged industry. This was actually midway in between the programs. We also engaged industry. We worked with the Power Distribution Services, which is the energy company of Ghana. They changed the name to PDS at some point, now back to energy company of Ghana again. So we approached them, and then we designed a training program for their MIS staff in data analytics, and these are some of the members of staff when they came to our lab for the training session. And to say that the leader of the team, which is a female, the lady in blue on the left, she's just completed a PhD in economics, and these are some of the participants from that training program. We still maintain a relationship with this MIS unit of ECG in Ghana. Next slide, please. Thank you. Besides this, we also engage other units within the institution, within our institution. One of the departments we have worked with is optometry and the visual science department, where we ran a workshop for their preclinical students. And this was in January of 2020, sorry. We had a very large group from that department. And we were training them essentially on how to design their scientific research, because they were going on their clinical terms. So we wanted them to know how to design their research and how to manage their data, how to collect the data, determine their sample size, and how to determine what is their research hypothesis, and how do you make decisions, how do you transform your statistical evidence into decisions when you have completed your analysis. This was in 2020. And next slide, please. Okay, I think my video, yeah, sorry about that. All right, thank you. The next one is actually on our TEACH project. The USAID also supported some labs to undertake TEACH project, which is transforming evidence to actionable practice in higher education institutions. We put our proposal together and it was approved on the second attempt, thankfully. We ran a program with the Transportation Center, which is also in Kenya University. It's actually a regional transportation center, one of the African Center of Excellence, but it's situated in our university. So the two pivotal objectives for our TEACH project was, one, to develop our within lab capacity, which was train the trainers, as well as work with their students. It's a postgraduate program. So work with their students in preparing them before they go to the fields for data collection and working with them after their data has been collected. So we've had our trainee trainers, we had that in 2021. We've had the first track workshop in February this year. They are now in the field. We expect them to return from the field later this month. So we'll start engaging them again from next month. And hopefully by August 2020, we should have closed this project. But this was one of the ones that we were actually working on transforming evidence to actionable practice in higher education. Adam? Next slide, please. All right. We also engage our partners, which when I say our partners this time around, I mean other sister institutions and other departments of statistics, actuarial science, mathematics, and data science in Ghana. We try to engage actively in the discourse on the curriculum development and the direction that our national training of students in statistics and data science, how it should go in Ghana. So in 2019, we had a stakeholders meeting to propose a roadmap for the role of statistics and data science in achieving the sustainable development goals in Ghana. During this session, we met together as heads of units of statistics of stakeholders to fashion and determine a pathway in which we can begin to actively drive the discourse and engage stakeholders in the role that statistics and data science could play and avail them our services. So during the session, we identified the gaps and then some of the challenges in statistical training, and we provide some workable solution. We also talked about how to incorporate data science professional skills into our statistical training at the higher education institutions. That was in 2019 on 25th of November. These are some of the activities that we have undertaken on the advocacy front. For the 2020, October 20, we had in World Statistics Day. 2020 October actually marks a very significant day for us in LISA 2020. And then we had a meeting as well, again, with Ghana Statistical Association, the Ghana Statistical Services. We also met with other departments of statistics to not only celebrate the day, but also to see how we can better collaborate amongst ourselves. Adam? Thank you. Another area or another project we've undertaken as a lab is to work with other bodies, such as the Women in STEM in Ghana, of which I'm a member, actually a founding member, and the university as an entity as well. In this, we collaborated with our university. It was March, April this year. The university has recently recruited a lot of academic staff, and we had an engagement with the female academic new recruits. And one of the challenges expressed in that meeting was that they needed to build their capacity in doing their research better, which essentially it had to do with how to transform the data they collect in their experiment or in their labs into publications. And one of their biggest challenges was how to analyze their data. So we collaborated with our university, International Programs Office, as well as Women in STEM, and ran a training for all the newly recruited female academic staff. And we had 2 cohorts running back to back. Those who had very little or no experience in data science, in statistics and data science, had a 3-day session, and those who had some working knowledge had a 2-day session. I have shared quite a number of the projects and activities that our lab has undertaken. Which one of these do you think is most relevant to the LISA 2020 objective, or which one do you think we should focus on, or we should spend more time on towards attaining LISA 2020 objective? So collaboration, I see it is collaboration. Okay, any other opinions? Two people still say collaboration. What about training? Training of students, industry? I don't know. What's your view about that? And advocacy? Okay, I see one person says training industry. Okay, I would want to, we'll just keep taking this feedback. So while I just go to our experiences in these activities that we have undertaken. Adam, please. Thank you. So I would not want to repeat what Olubusoy has earlier said about the 4 C's, but we also found out that communicating actually is a very important thing that you have to learn to do deliberately and have to practice it continuously. And who do we communicate with? We need to communicate with all our stakeholders or potential collaborators. We need to communicate on multiple platforms. One of the things I've noticed is that we do not use several platforms. So we have learned that we need to spread and look at multiple platforms. And thankfully that came up during our sustainability symposium, and also to communicate and engage actively at every given opportunity. So we should look for creating these opportunities to engage and communicate. And the networking, which is pivotal to collaboration. So to collaborate, and we also observe that we needed to do more outreach programs because the awareness about statistical education is still quite low in our part of the continent. It's still not what it should be. So we need to give more interviews and especially elicit collaboration from our research partners more. And I can't overemphasize training. We realized that training was very important, and not just training trainees or training fellows or training in the industry. The lab team, which is our core team of experts, has to be well trained to have the requisite skills to navigate between theory and practice, and to have the state-of-the-art skills to offer to people or clients or collaborators who seek our assistance. And we also in our lab realized that sustainability was a major thing. So we think that it is important for the START labs to be sustainable, to think long-term, to have a very clear vision of what they want to be, or what kind of lab they want to be in playing their role in the LISA 2020 project. And then each lab we have come to realize should have a succession plan and should be ready. The leaders should be ready to transfer leadership when the time comes up. Thank you so much for your time. I think Tonya will take it from here to wrap up for us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining. In brief summary, today we shared an overview of the LISA 2020 network. We talked about our sustainability considerations and things we learned from our recent symposium, and then shared specific examples from UI-LISA in Nigeria and KNUST-LISA in Ghana. And so the last thing, we know we're a few minutes over, but we'd love if you could share your biggest takeaway from this session. So Adam, if you'll do the very last slide. So use the chat function to let us know. Are you inspired to build or seek out a stat lab near your institution? Do you think that some of the sustainability ideas that we talked about that our labs learned could be repurposed to be part of a program that you're a part of that's maybe not a statistics program? And yes, we can share the link. And feel free to connect with the network on social media and via email and all of those things. And if there are no takeaways from our attendees. Oh, okay, wonderful. Heidi, I know of a promising mid-career female in Ghana who may be interested in pursuing an advanced degree. I may follow up to see if there will be another cohort of STEM. Tanuki, did you want to comment on that?
That would be great.
Yeah, so Heidi, if you'll just communicate with us, that would be great.
Yes, yes.
Any other comments? And if not, we will go ahead and let you head back. I know the next big session is either already started or starting very soon. And once again, thank you all for joining. And Heidi, we look
you.
forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.